Approaching the battle for Bengal looks set to only bitter in the days going forward. With Shrishti Ojha, Bureau Report, India Today.
And joining me now is Sukanta Majumdar, Union Minister and a Member of Parliament from Balurghat. He is in fact touring Bengal. So, Mr. Majumdar, really appreciate your time. What will be seen, as a major setback for Mamata Banerjee's government in West Bengal? The Supreme Court today has paused the FIRs which were registered against the officers of the ED in connection with the searches which happened against the political consultancy I-pac. How do you look at the Supreme Court's order?
It's a supreme slap, I would like to call. From the beginning, the councils, those who are trying to, push back the case to the Kolkata High Court, they are trying their level best. And, the TMC as well as the government of West Bengal, they both hired two prominent lawyers of the Supreme Court, Manu Singhvi. Kapil Sibbalji was representing Mamata Banerjee, and Manu Singhvi was representing the government of West Bengal. But in spite of that, actually it's a win for the ED because, as you mentioned, Banerjee, as the court has given the verdict to stop the investigation on the FIR, those have been registered against the ED officials. Because the incident that happened on that day in front of Mamata Banerjee, and actually Mamata Banerjee was the creator of that incident, it is really a challenge I feel that it is really a challenge towards the sovereignty of our country, this great democracy. And it is a hit on the federal structure of this country. And so we welcome the verdict of the Honorable Supreme Court.
I'm looking at what Solicitor General Tushar Mehta said here. He in fact accused Bengal Chief Minister of theft, that she took evidence from the residence of I-pac co-founder Pratik Jain, and that she said that this will, kind of act, in fact that's what Tushar Mehta said, this kind of act will encourage state police officers to aid and abet such cases.
Yes, really, it's a unique incident that happened on that day. I don't know whether in the history of this democracy of this country we have any other instance or not. But it is a act of, I feel that it's an act of theft. And not only that, it has been mentioned by the in High Court, Kolkata High Court, as well as the Supreme Court also, that the ED officers, they were threatened by the police officials, especially the DG, Rajiv Kumar. Especially it was mentioned in the Kolkata High Court by the ED Council of London Council of ED. And really it's a unique incident, and I feel it will create a unique problem for the federal structure and the constitution of this country. And I feel that it is a challenge. And the act of TMC, Chief Minister, because on one side, Mamata Banerjee is claiming she was representing the TMC, but DGP Police as well as the Chief Secretary of the State, Nandini Chakravarti, both were present in with the Mamata Banerjee in that trespass that was made by the Mamata Banerjee and whole team. And according to the ED council, who was present in the Kolkata High Court yesterday, they mentioned that all the ED officers, they were threatened by the police officials, and they have snatched all the documents and from that investigation area. And I think it is an act of crime, and all these officials, along with the Mamata Banerjee, should be taken under the course of law.
Of course, the opposition, though, will continue to maintain that this is misuse of central agencies. That here the reason why I-pac co-founder Pratik Jain was targeted was that he has been working, the I-pac has been working with the TMC for so long. They are aware of the entire election strategy. They are involved in the election strategy, in the elections which will be held in few months from now.
IPAC is a private entity, and they worked, for the TMC. They worked for that RJD in Bihar also. Even if I am not wrong, then they have worked also for that
For
Congress
Nitish Kumar.
in Telangana
Yes.
also. So it is
Yes.
a private.
They worked for Congress in Punjab as well. When
Yes, yes, yes.
Mr. Prashant Kishore was the head. Yes, please go ahead.
Yes, so it is a totally a private entity and a profitable venture. And a profitable venture, whenever you were assisting any political party, it is not a crime, or whatever you want to do, you can do. But the thing is that the investigation was done by the ED, and it was found that some kind of role is there, and some kind of involvement of this entity was there when TMC fought the Goa election. And what kind of involvement? That is related to the money transfer. So the money transfer, and what was the source of that money? That source of that money was the coal scam. And the investigation is going on for so many years regarding this coal scam. So whatever our opposition is saying, the opposition is saying that it is not justified, and they are trying to cover up the whole thing. You can hire any company for your election venture, but you cannot use that private company or that entity in money transferring or channelizing your scam money. It is not acceptable in this country.
Since you spoke about the coal scam, I'm looking at what Mr. Sibbals told the Supreme Court today, that the last development in the coal scam case took place in February of 2024. Of course, he was appearing on behalf of Mamata Banerjee. He went on to ask a question that is there on perhaps everybody's mind about the timing. What is the ED doing about it and doing about this case in 2026 then?
So is it a justified question that ED will do every year, whether ED has to prove themselves by doing some kind of inquiry everywhere? So inquiry, you cannot specify any specific time for any kind of inquiry or raid. Inquiry is even ED has to find out the money trail in case of scam, this kind of scam. So finding a money trail is not a matter of joke. The knowledgeable person, they know it may take several years. So, and they are claiming that it is done. It has been done just before election. So every year you have election in this state. Even in 24 we had the election. So even in case of some municipality and corporation, the election is due. That could have been arranged in 2025. So, that's why we are advocating for the one nation, one election. But okay, we don't have the time to discuss that. But the thing is that you cannot, justify this. That
Okay.
this year election is the election year is this year is the election year. So you cannot investigate anything. It is not justified. And if you have hired any company for the election management, it does not mean that company should be given any kind of immunity against any kind of corruption.
Okay, my last question to you, and this is regards the campaigning of the BJP. You are in Bengal at present, traveling across the state. What is the BJP campaign going to be like after this order?
It's a matter between ED and the government of West Bengal, and another party is the TMC. But the thing is that BJP will, aware the public that our chief minister is the single chief minister, only chief minister only chief minister of the country who has done this kind of heinous act of snatching the documents and the proof from the investigating agency. And really, it is shameful for the whole Bengali community and Bengal.
All right, Sukanta Majumdar, thank you for joining us and sharing your views. We have Tausif Ahmed, advocate and political analyst, joining us. Gargi Nandi Roy is also a political analyst. Tausif, looking at what will be seen as a big setback for Mamata Banerjee, and yes, the timing is something that has been asked repeatedly by the TMC and other opposition leaders. The ED is not responsible for it, is what the Supreme Court has said.
No, Supreme Court has not given any clean sheet to ED. Rather, the ED will have to, explain and satisfy the court on the question that while under the law, ED is required to notify the state police before conducting any raid or search. In this case, on 8th of January, the ED started the raid at 6:45 a.m. but the intimation email was sent at 11:30 a.m., almost 5 or 6 hours later. So the malafide, the allegation of malafide on ED, coupled with the fact that they have been sitting on this case from last 2 years. 2 years ago, the last statement was recorded. The FIR was launched 6 years ago. The scam is allegedly from 10 years old. Therefore,
there are
the
larger
intent,
questions which emerge and if not answered shall lead to lawlessness. If central agencies are working bona fide to probe a serious offence, a question arises. Can they be obstructed by party activities? That's what the Supreme Court has said today.
And the Supreme Court also took cognizance of the fact that the party chairman, Trinamool party chairman Mamata Banerjee, has a right to the confidential party documents that is lying with the IPAC office or the residence of Mr. Jain. And ED has no business to take seizure of the election-related document or political documents just before the election. So the right of a political party to the confidential documents related to yes. So therefore, there's a balance. The question has to be, weighed on the weighing scale. The verdict is not out yet.
Gargi Nandi, this is the way the Supreme Court order is going to be read by the political parties. Of course, you heard Sukanta Majumdar of the BJP. He saw this as a supreme slap. Here is Tausif, who has his leanings clear. He's seeing it otherwise. Gargi, as a political analyst, what about you?
Thank you, Maria. Thank you for inviting. Maria, the country by now knows that there is no rule of law in West Bengal. But what we saw that day, it crossed all the limit. She brazenly crossed the line between governance and intimidation. So we know that she has been a fascist ruler, but what we saw that day was robbery in broad daylight by the fascist Didi Amin of West Bengal. Now, having said that, now Tausif has been saying, why so many years old case now? I'll tell you why, Maria, because there are other raids also happening simultaneously. In October 2025, ED raided a businessman linked to the coal scam, Krishna Koyal. From there, they got the file which linked that scam to I-pac. Now also, Narendra Kharkar and Nirod Mondol, and two another businessmen, they are being integrated. So that's how ED got those links to I-pac. So when they will get the link, they will come now. And even Shubhendu Adhikari said how a contractor, there was a Jal Jeevan project for which center gave 8,000 crore to the state. So there was one contractor who got 178 crore. He had to give 16 crore to I-pac through Kagdip Axis Bank. Ask him to deny whatever I'm saying and taking the name of the businessman. So that's why now ED went, and why the ED did not inform the police force. Maria, we all have seen how police force in West Bengal have been reduced to personal escorts of the TMC leaders. So do you think if police were informed beforehand, ED could not have reached Pratik Jain's house? They would have been arrested, or they would have removed everything before the ED would have reached. That's why in a state like West Bengal, the ED could not have informed the police. Because if they would have done so, they would have reached Pratik Jain's office or residence. That's for clear.
But the fact is that the election data is confidential. If Mamata Banerjee had concerns with regards to the election data, it's confidential for any political party.
If it was confidential, if it was some related to all political data, she would have gone to the court. That was not the way, obviously, to snatch, to raid an existing ED raid. Have you ever seen in your lifetime of a journalist? You are a very veteran, senior, respected journalist. In your entire journalistic career, Maria, can you please remember that you have seen anything like this? I don't think you have. And the law is same for every citizen in this country.
Point
if
taken.
you would have done that, or I would have done what she did.
Point taken, Gargi. Of course, it hasn't been seen. Anything similar to that has not been seen. But then, as we know that Mamata Banerjee reacts differently, and she perhaps took the took this move. I mean, she's a political leader who's known to be a street fighter. And that is the reason why the BJP is finding it tough in Bengal at the moment. So thank you so much for joining us.
BJP must have the slogan. Maria, you asked, Sukanta could not give you the slogan. Let me give the slogan for Bengal. Jene gache janota, dakat bishi momota. Jene gache janota, dakat bishi momota.
Okay, what does that mean?
That the Janta, Bengal ki Janta dan gayi, bishi dakat hai. So that's why our rhyme. Jene gache janota, dakat bishi momota.
That means the more you attack Bengal, again the Bengal will win.
All right,
I'm giving you the slogan, Jotoi koro hamla, abar jeetbe Bangla.
Okay, so we have heard two slogans already, Gargi and Tausif. Thank you for joining us. That's all from me on this edition of NewsTrack. I'll be seeing you tomorrow. Thanks so much for watching.
Slim like a whisper, sharp in the hand, never unplanned.
Motorola Edge 70, impossibly thin.
Would you say that the protesters need to stay course, and also will you be urging to the world community to look at what exactly is happening, because this could actually not be just the first execution that we could see. If this goes through, then it looks like it will open floodgates.
So the evidence is crystal clear. We have enough videos confirmed video. We have enough document from inside Iran to show the massacre of the people, to show, let me call it what it is, to show the genocide against Iranians. And yes, we need to hold them accountable. I don't want free word to look at what happened in Iran. I don't want them to monitoring the situation. I don't want empty words. We need action, and we need action now. The immediate action is necessary, and don't think so that this is just Iranian problems. After 1979 revolt, after 1979 Islamic revolt, we see that the regime created a chaos. The regime based on execution. The regime is based on terror, and brave people of Iran stand up. They show the unbelievable bravery, and it's a moral duty of free world, not just for the best interest of Iranian, for the best interest of themselves, to help Iranian people against this brutal regime.
Slim like a whisper, sharp in the hand, never unplanned.
Motorola Edge 70, impossibly thin.
One word that you have heard ample number of times here on 5 Live, pollution. A word Delhi knows all too well. Every winter, like clockwork, air turns poisonous, breathing becomes a risk. Stepping outside feels like punishment. Delhiites suffer it daily, and now the embarrassment travels far beyond our borders. Men's badminton world number 2, Anders Andersen, has delivered now a damning indictment of Delhi's air. The Danish shuttler has pulled out of the Indian Open, not due to injury, not due to scheduling, but because the air in the national capital is simply not safe. Imagine that, a global sporting event in the capital of the world's largest democracy deemed unfit because athletes cannot breathe. Now, Andersen has bluntly said that Delhi is not the place to host tournaments under such conditions, in a statement that exposes not just pollution, but years of apathy, denial, and inaction. And if I dare say, it's a national shame that this is what the country has come down to.
कि जो रेलवे में खाना परोसा जाता है वो किस प्रकार की प्रक्रिया से बनाया गया मीट है, वो हलाल है या झटका है। हमको रेलवे ने जवाब दिया है कि हलाल सर्टिफिकेशन का कोई भी मैंडेटरी ऑब्लिगेशन वेंडर्स पर नहीं है। दैट वी अप्रिशिएट, लेकिन बीइंग ए गवर्नमेंट एजेंसी, बीइंग अ प्रीमियर एजेंसी जो इन्वॉल्व है खाना बेचने में देश भर में, वहाँ रेलवे की जिम्मेदारी होती है कि वो सभी धर्मों का सम्मान करे, सभी लोगों के रोजगार का सम्मान करे। अब यहाँ पे दो सवाल जो बड़े हैं, जो रिलीजियस लिहाज से बड़े हैं, दारुल उलूम देवबंद का कहना ये है कि भाई कोई मुसलमान ही केवल जो है वो हलाल प्रोसेस से मीट तैयार कर पाएगा, यानी जानवर को काट पाएगा, मार पाएगा। वहीं दूसरी ओर जब सिख धर्मावलंबियों की जो नियम पुस्तिका है, जो पवित्र नियम पुस्तिका है, जो उनके नियम बने हुए हैं, जो श्री शिरोमणि गुरुद्वारा प्रबंधक कमेटी ने जारी किए हैं, उसके तहत रहत मर्यादा उसको कहते हैं, उनके तहत ये लिखा हुआ है कि इस्लामिक तरीके से स्लॉटर किया गया जो जानवर का मीट है वो सिख धर्मावलंबियों को खाना निषेध है। ऐसे में सिख धर्मावलंबियों के भी धार्मिक अधिकार हैं, तो उनको पता होना चाहिए कि जो मीट आप परस रहे हैं, जो मीट आप बेच रहे हैं, वो क्या है। तो यहाँ बात ट्रांसपेरेंसी की है।
Hello and welcome. I'm Geeta Mohan and you're watching India Today Global. That's some big breaking news coming in on the Iran-America front. We're looking at sanctions. Sanctions from the United States of America. 18 Iranian individuals and entities have been sanctioned. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent in an announcement, in a video announcement, has very clearly spelled out what America is going to do. This is America's next step of action: target Iranian networks. 25% tariff on nations doing business with Iran. Demands of Iranian legitimacy, as also the Americans have now warned Iran that they will track Iran down. A message to Khamenei that it's still time for them to join the United States of America. Listen in.
Today's sanctions target 18 individuals and entities that the regime uses to evade sanctions on Iranian oil and divert proceeds from its energy sales away from the rightful owners, the Iranian people. Tehran's natural resources belong to its people and not its brutal dictators. Treasury will continue to target Iranian networks and corrupt elites that enrich themselves at the expense of average Iranians. This includes the regime's attempts to exploit digital assets to evade sanctions and finance cybercriminal operations. Additionally, President Trump has announced a 25% tariff on countries that continue to do business with Iran. Our message to the Iranian people is clear. Your demands are legitimate. You are protesting for a noble cause, and the United States supports you and your efforts to peacefully oppose the regime's mismanagement and brutality. Our message to the Iranian leaders is also clear. U.S. Treasury knows that like rats on a sinking ship, you are frantically wiring funds stolen from Iranian families to banks and financial institutions around the world. Rest assured, we will track them and you. But there's still time if you choose to join us.